Did you watch Rings of Power? And if so, what were your thoughts? Okay. How long's the stream going for? Yeah. Yes, I did. I did watch Rings of Power. And I think there's been a considerable time period that we can probably talk. So if you haven't watched it and you don't want spoilers, then feel free to tune out. Okay. So I have to give you some contextual information here. So I've been sort of the last year and a half learning a lot more about... This is interesting. Learning a lot more about like the Lord of the Rings universe. Before that, I had some knowledge. I had obviously watched the movies. I'd watched the Hobbit movies. I'd watched the Lord of the Rings movies. I had a decent idea. I hadn't read the books yet, but I'd sort of, I knew probably a bit more than the average person. However, in the last year, I have read the Lord of the Rings books, plus the appendices, of which Rings of Power is based. Which I thought was important that I read that. I haven't read any of the other... Like the Silmarillion, I haven't read that yet, but that's sort of on my to-do list now to read the Silmarillion. Just so I get sort of the whole story. And I've also watched a shit ton of YouTube videos sort of investigating the lore of Lord of the Rings. So, with that in mind, I do have a decent amount of sort of knowledge concerning the broader universe now. So, Rings of Power has not stuck to the lore. Now, that's neither here nor there, I don't think. They haven't stuck to the lore. They had to fill in a few gaps, which I think was okay. They had creative license to do that. 52%. They had creative license to do that. Like, for instance, the whole plot line, which was half the story of Adar in the Southlands, with all the people in the Southlands and the Elvish garrison and all that, and leading to Mount Doom being flooded, which then causes it to erupt, which is now what makes it into Mordor. All that, I'm okay with that. That's cool. I don't have an issue with that. I think that's like, it was left blank within the lore, and that was a gap that they filled in, and I thought that was an acceptable storyline. It was fun. It was exciting. Some people say the show was very slow. I don't disagree with that. What I will say is I think anything concerning the elves or the dwarves was fine. Or even Numenor, because, I mean, just seeing Numenor, right? That's incredible. And they did a really good job with Numenor, I think, visually. And how they represented it. And you can see where they're going to take the storyline next, because obviously most people know what's going to happen to Numenor. I mean, it's been foreshadowed in the show anyway. It's not like they're hiding that. It's not like they're trying to keep that a big secret, what's going to happen to Numenor. But just seeing the visuals was a dream for me. Yeah. Like, seeing Numenor, that was insane. That was insane. The Hobbits, Halfwoods, fuck me dead, eh? I could have done with the show with no Hobbits. Like, every time it went to the Hobbits, the show just ground to a halt. It just ground to a halt. All progress stopped. I'm sitting there watching the Hobbits, and I'm going, why am I not in Numenor right now? Why am I not in Khazad-dûm? Why am I not in Lindon? Why am I not in fucking Eregion? Why am I not in Eregion? We get to the Hobbits, which are over, presumably, somewhere here, right? Somewhere in Ravanion. I'm guessing, is where that Hobbit storyline is taking place. Ravenian, sort of northern Ithilien. They went through a marsh at one point, which was like maybe foreshadowing the Dead Marshes, somewhere around here. Like, that's where they were on the map, okay? And then they went into a forest, you know, at the end. It's like, was that the bottom of Mirkwood? I think so. So, you know, they're in this area. And it was just boring. The Hobbit experience was boring. It just didn't capture me at all. And I feel like somewhere along the lines, someone at Amazon said, oh, we have to have hobbits. It's a Lord of the Rings show. We have to have hobbits. And everyone was like, yeah, that's a really good idea. It has to have hobbits, right? Like, of course it has to have hobbits. The Hobbit had the hobbits. Lord of the Rings had the hobbits. And the Rings of Power will have to have hobbits. Thing was, there were no fucking hobbits anywhere in the story at that point. Not existent. Like, the Shire, and even over here, sort of on the Anduin, right? Hobbits aren't in the story for like another fucking like 2,000 years or something. Okay, they're just not there. They don't exist. Like they've got hobbits in the story, and yet they haven't even included anything Lothlorien. You telling me that the hobbits are out and about, tropsing around, and don't even get me started on the Hobbit lore, like the lore of the show even. What is it? What's the catch cry? No one gets left behind. Nobody walks alone. No one gets left behind. Right? Nobody walks alone. No one gets left behind. Yeah. Until someone, you know, breaks their ankle, and we go, nah, fuck them. Nobody walks alone. Nobody gets left behind. Just let them die. Just let them die. Like, yeah. They even got a fucking book. A book of all the people that they left behind. That's what is the book of all the people they left behind. Nobody walks alone. Nobody gets left behind. Yeah. Apart from if they don't like you. And then you just get discarded. And it's not like they're on a timetable. It's not like they're on a timetable. Like, they're not in a rush to go anywhere. They're nomadic. So they don't have to go anywhere anytime soon, right? They're not, like... So they don't have to leave. They could wait a few weeks to let the dude's ankle heal, right? Hey, someone could even just help them carry their bloody cart. Like, who the fuck are these people? I hope they all die. Like, seriously? Like, I can't stand them. What's the right? Cutthroat campers, yeah. So, yeah, sorry, I did that. Get the Desh Marines. Let's try and do a hostile takeover again here. 30% success rate. Yeah, nah, he loses again. It's that 5th merchant we've sent that way. I'll kill this guy. And I'll keep talking Rings of Power. Noble one. Because I watched it with great interest, and this I'm on a negative point at the moment. I'm on a negative point at the moment, and I want to get through the negative point and get back to the positives. But you laughed how they literally lost everything they had. I was like, yeah, freaking serves them right, you know, serves them right. So the Hobbit ground everything to a halt. Now, the only reason, apart from, it's Lord of the Rings, we need hobbits. Apart from that, okay, some twat at Amazon. The reason why they had the Hobbit storyline is so they could introduce the wizard. And who is the wizard? It's fucking Gandalf, okay? why don't they just call him Gandalf? Why all this mystery, okay? Like, they're dropping all the lines. Oh, just follow your nose. Blah, blah, blah. There was like 3 or 4 different lines they dropped that are all like Gandalf lines from the movies. And they're like, oh no, he's just a wizard. Is he the Blue Wizards? Ooh, I don't know. Is he the Blue Wizards? Is he Saruman before he goes bad? Oh, don't know. Is he Radagast? Because it's, you know, it's, oh, he's to do with nature and, oh, blah, 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 maybe. He even says, like, back to the, what is it? Like, go back from whence you came to the evil sorcerer cult people, evil Eminem. Right? It's like, okay, so you guys are like, and oh, he's got the connection with the hobbits and back to the shadow, yeah. And it's like, oh, this is why Gandalf likes hobbits. This is why Gandalf likes hobbits. Because he met hobbits helped him when he first came back to Middle-earth. When he came to Middle-earth, hobbits helped him. Now he's got a soft spot for hobbits. You know, this is, why the fuck am I, where am I pointing? Is this, oh, okay. You know, oh, it all lines up nicely. I don't care, okay? If you wanted to introduce Gandalf, you could have introduced him at in any of those other storylines. He could have just appeared somewhere, right? It would have been like, you know, Mithrandir, like the dwarves could have just been like hanging out in Khazad-dûm, and that would have been like, oh, and Mithrandir's on his way over, right? Enter Gandalf. There we go. Gandalf's in the story. Do what you want with him, right? You don't need this convoluted, Hobbit-centric waste of my freaking time, okay? I'm not interested. I'm not interested in the Hobbits at this point, okay? And frankly, I'm not interested in the Hobbits that much in general, okay? There is so many more interesting things in Middle-earth that are not freaking Hobbits. Now, where's he going? He's going off to Rune. Yeah, so Gandalf was known for, like, doing lots of Gandalf-y things. He goes around, he talks to people, he does stuff, has lots of adventures. Yeah, okay. So that's where we're going with that. And it's next season. Gandalf's going to be over in Rune doing Rune things, you know, helping out, scouting out Sauron from the south. Yeah, okay, whatever. They could have done all that without the most boringest part of the show. Okay, now the Balrog. The Balrog. Why? Why show the Balrog? Right, let's get off Hobbits, because I could just rant about Hobbits forever. Why show the Balrog? What was the purpose of showing the Balrog? That felt lazy. That was like, oh, look, gotcha. Little gotcha moment. There's a Balrog in Khazad-dûm. Now, for everyone who knew there was already a Balrog in Khazad-dûm, okay, which is bloody anyone who's watched or seen anything Lord of the Rings orientated, okay, already knew that. So you've just gone like a surprise moment for anyone who didn't know that, right? Which is like, who doesn't? You could have saved it. It was like literally one little moment. You could have saved that for next season. You didn't need to use that now. You've used your gotcha moment already, right? I didn't like that at all. I did like the Dwarven storyline. I think seeing in Khazad-dûm is insane. You know, because the only things we see at Khazad-dûm and Lord of the Rings is after it's been bloody Balrogged. Although that was like, that was fine. You like the dwarves, yeah. It was good. And I loved Elrond and Durin's relationship. Now that's not strictly canonical, is that the right word? Canonical? But it could have happened.
Enemy flees before us like a herd of goats. Drive them from the
It could have happened. At that time, the dwarves of Khazad-dûm and the elves of Eregion were trading. So I'm okay with that. That whole storyline is fine. I have no issue with that, apart from the Balrogs being thrown in for a bloody gotcha moment. Now, speaking of gotcha moments, the worst. The worst part of the show. Worse than the Hobbits. Worse than the Hobbits is how they've managed to fuck themselves for season 2. How they've managed to fuck up literally the name of the show. Right?
Yes.
Literally the name of the show they managed to fuck up. Rings of Power. Okay? The one thing they had to get right was the rings. So what have they done? Screwed the entire storyline. Let's have Sauron come in as whoever his name was. I don't care. The dude who should never have been Sauron. And they should never have had him as Sauron. It's stupid to have him as Sauron because you've ruined the entire story.
How may I serve? Noble one. Orders.
Because now, the elves know about the magic rings. And that they've been corrupted by Sauron. Now, why would they go ahead and make more rings for humans and more rings for dwarves when they know Sauron wanted them to make the rings? That would be stupid. That would be stupid. Right? Are the elves really going to be that stupid? No, because what should have happened is, one, you make the human rings and the dwarven rings first, then they discover Sauron's treachery, that it's Anatar, not Sauron. I'm a little to see how they attempt to patch all that. Yeah. So they still need to make the other sets of rings, which they should have made first, right? Because then they're corrupted by Sauron. Then the elves make the elven rings that aren't corrupted by Sauron, and Sauron doesn't have any sway over, because he didn't know they existed, or at least for a long time. Why? Oh, this is my dock now. You can come back down here.
Course set.
So
So
they've completely screwed that, and they can't have Sauron come back again because they're going to know that it's him. Like, the whole story is Anatar comes as the disguise of an elf, right? Teaches them how to make magic rings, blah, 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 blah. Then they discover he's Sauron. What if they don't bother with the other rings? Well, you have to have the other rings, because the other rings go to the bloody ring wraiths, don't they? The Nazgul. That's where 9 rings for mortal men. That's the 9 Nazgul. So you can't just not have the human rings. You can't have the dwarven, not have the dwarven rings, because that's what makes them rich and want wealth and stuff.
My eyes.
That would be a sensible thought. Yeah, just don't have the Nazgul. Yep, we just won't have Nazgul. I need to make some progress. What am I doing? I've built stuff. Yeah, I mean, you've got me on a tangent, which I'm happy for, because, you know, this is. I'm not done yet. Let me just bear that in mind. I'm not done yet. Okay? I've still got things to say.
Orders.
So they've ruined that. Now, Galadriel, right? Okay. How could they screw over her character? How could they screw over her character so much? Right? They made Galadriel look like a pain in the ass. Constantly. Constantly.
Your will.
Speaking of hobbits.
As you will.
Constantly
A proposition for us?
made Galadriel look like a stuck-up, painful, insubordinate, just elf, right? Which she's anything but. She's anything but.
I do not believe.
Whatever.
That seemed fruitful.
Whatever.
Farewell.
Okay. I'm going to
As
see the
you
dwarves.
will. As you will.
Um,
As you will. As you will.
So they just didn't hit the Galadriel character. I think the Elrond character was really good.
My ears.
I think that was on point. done really well, and you know, that was a good representation of Elrond.
How may I serve? Or as you will.
3.
Orders.
Elrond was good. I enjoyed Elrond. Now, saying all this, apparently he knows the most lore on set. Well, that would make sense because he represented his character as he should have.
Noble one. At once. Yes. Setting a watch here.
Saying that, the overall show I still enjoyed. I enjoyed the show. Did I look forward to it
How
every
may I
week?
serve?
Yes. Yes. Why? Because it's fucking Lord of the Rings, right? I enjoyed it. I loved Numenor. I loved the dwarves. I loved the elves, right? I loved seeing potentially Gandalf, whatever. Okay, whoever it is. It was great. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it every week. It was enjoyable.
Yes, noble master.
But man, they really fucked the goose. You know, it could have been so much better.
At once.
Could
Yes.
have been so much better.
Setting a watch here.
So much better. Incredibly better. And yeah, that's disappointing. How much better it could have been. Like the Orc dialogue, very small amount of it though, remind me of some Shadow of War segments I liked. Yeah. I mean, and that whole, and what did I started by saying that whole storyline in the Southlands, I was cool with. That was a great storyline. It was a plot. It was an empty plot point. How did Mordor become Mordor? Numenor comes over and rescues the day, but in the end, still pays a price. And Numenor comes, and the Queen comes back. The Queen Regent comes back to Numenor to discover that Numenor wasn't how they left it. And Pharazôn, well, he's not Pharazôn at the time. Pharazôn, spoiler. Pharazôn is making waves in Numenor, figuratively and soon quite literally. And I just hope that the next season, they're like, oh, we have to like set the scene, we have to fill in some gaps so that someone who knows nothing about Lord of the Rings sort of knows what's going on. There is so much content that they can just rip straight from the appendices, right? They have the rights to the appendices. Like, the story's there. The story's there, and it's great. It's a great story. Who have they got here? Lots of archers. That's not good. And lots of... Oh. I don't know how we're defending this. We can't really weather the storm.
We shall all find a way to an honorable victory.
There's a great story there. And if they just follow the frickin' story, like, it's great. Now, how they patching the whole rings thing? Dunno. Don't know how they intend to do that. I don't know. Because they've really screwed the pooch. They've really screwed the pooch. Now, there are no walls here.